from the Karma. Lucian is locked in, still a powerful marksman, especially with the crit itemization that is live now on the patch. They could try and just go for a powerful support combo with the Lucian, but if you want laning prowess and you want laning push, you have to pick something that's ranged, which then pushes the responsibility of being a tank over to another lane, and they want that pushing power with the Nami.
This is really interesting. Both times that we've really seen two Enchanter supports being played. You know, the Karma into the Nami. Again, as you mentioned, going for more pushing power, going for more utility as well. We know how strong the Lucian-Nami combo can be. I think Nami is actually really underrated right now and actually one of the strongest supports to play just in general. Her healing that she can get with Harmonic Echo can be absolutely absurd, and of course you can help with benefit with the double up passive from Lucian.
Exactly. It is going to be quite the...
Whoa! Hold up! Wait. Talon has arrived to Wild Rift here in our best of 5 grand final. The question is this mid lane for Onron? Is this jungle for Zhangji? Who knows?
I don't know, man, but it's getting really spicy at the very, very first draft that we have here. Now they're going to be taking out some of the options at the Baron lane, perhaps. On the opposite side, they pretty much secured a very strong level 3 type of compositions for on the red side, which is on the blue side, sorry, WRL red. But now I'm curious, Talon's so spicy.
Yeah, Talon most likely going to be in the jungle than the mid lane. You just struggle to wave clear so much in the mid lane, but in the jungle, you have a decent enough jungle clear. Over the past few months, Talon has been buffed multiple times, I believe 2 or 3 times. He's been always known in Wild Rift over the past year being one of the weakest junglers, one of the weakest champions in the game, but with so many buffs over the last few patches, he's actually been starting to see a lot more play in solo queue, and seeing it on the main stage here for our best of 5 pro match is really exciting.
I mean, his parkour ability gives him so much free range to just dip in and out of the jungle, try and look for a quick dive on one of the side lanes here, try and attack that Lee Sin and catch him unaware, or he can easily just as escape with the power of that third ability as he traverses through Wild Rift. We are in our second round of bans. This is where WRLR are going to have to round out their composition with either some frontline or stronger engage, because while the tidal wave is a decent way to break down a fight or slow it down, as an engage tool, it's a little predictable.
Exactly. I mean, if you're having to rely on the kick, the bubble, that is just okay, but looks like on WRL Blue, it feels like they need a hard hold. They need harder CC when it comes to engage. But one thing that is good news about having the Karma pick with the Talon is that you have some sort of follow-up with the movement speed, with the shield. So Jiangxi can be a bit more aggressive on this, and then the rest will follow up.
Looks like we're seeing 2 top laners actually just playing tanks, not even playing bruisers this
time
around, which is really interesting. Now Poppy being picked up and Yorn. You'll see a lot in the second ban phase. Mordekaiser, Ryze, Jax and Warwick, a lot of AP damage has been taken off the pool. If you're on the side of WRL Blue, you have a little bit of AP damage already with the Karma and a little bit with the Ezreal, but WRLR are very, very AD focused. Lucian, Renekton, Lee Sin, there's not that much magic damage in their kit.
But I want to flag something here, Stuart, and something that you mentioned to me is that some of the pro teams around the world have played a certain style where they send their Dragon Lane duo into the mid lane at the start of the game and just assign 2 normal side laners in both the Dragon and the Baron lane. And this seems like that kind of setup. And for WRLB, they are going to match it here.
Yeah, exactly that. No majors that we see at all, as you mentioned, Rafa. It's all about the bruisers. It's all about the tanks. Again, both teams are very AD focused, though. So I think this is actually not that bad. They're kind of shaking hands in a way because there are so many AP picks that are already gone. Rumble, Akali, Gwen on the first ban phase, sorry. Then the second ban phase, you've got so many AP champions gone. So instead, they're just shaking hands. They're both like, okay, we're both going to be very AD focused. So the big characters are going to be in this game is the Ornn and the Poppy. When they build items like the Sunfire in the early stages of the game, they're going to be very difficult to try and break down.
And that's the scary part, right? There's a big disengage here. And what WRLR wants to do is to go all in. If 1 or 2 get sent flying away from the 5v5 team fight, then that could pose as a problem for this WRLR WRL Red Squad. But I'm
Bit of
just
a
so
tongue
excited.
twister.
I know! It is!
Say that 5 times fast.
No,
WRLR.
I already failed the first time. My bad. You know what?
WRLR, WRLR,
Something-
WRLR,
WRLR. WRLR.
We got there in the end.
Yeah.
Good
you
job.
got there.
No,
You
you
got
try
there.
and do the blue.
Very, very well done.
That's too much, too
I
much.
love my co-cast. One thing I do want to quickly point out is that we actually saw with that final lock-in and the arrangement of all the champions is that the Poppy is going into the hands of Jiangxi in the jungle role. So it's on run. The finals MVP from WRLA Season 1 with Keep Best Gaming, piloting the Talon, piloting the Assassin. It's going to be on his shoulders to try and find the assassinations that can turn the tides of battle in this game 1.
That'd be very interesting if that is the case as well. Maybe they're doing a little bit of a lane swap as well. Maybe the production are just trolling us with where everyone's playing in terms of roles. We'll have to wait and see as we get into game for game number 1. It is going to be.
We got Skamazed. All right, okay.
It is Talon jungle.
Okay, well, you're right. So
there it is.
Nunu is going to be the one piloting the Talon jungle. Onron is actually taking the Aatrox into the mid lane, which makes a lot more sense, matching that of the likes of the Ornn, or at least trying to scale into it, and Renekton over into the Baron lane against the Poppy. So I'm going to take everything back that I said just a couple minutes ago.
Yeah. One thing I want to, acknowledge is that whenever we would watch a WRL team go up against some of the other regions, what the comments would usually come out is that, oh, wow, WRL teams are just, this region is just so fast at responding, so fast at making cross-map plays, so fast at just being everywhere and taking every single advantage and denying you cross-map trades. But in this case, it's China versus China. So now we're a little curious who between the two teams is going to be a little bit faster when it comes to the rotations.
Now, I was able to actually talk to SkyFL earlier because he's a player that did start his career over in EMEA as well. He's a player that in the early season, Season 1, Season 2, he played over in EMEA. And I said to him, like, what's the big difference between the two servers? What's the big difference that you have seen? And he said that in China, they always fight. They don't care. They're just always engaged. EMEA is maybe a little bit slow and global servers a little bit slow, but in China, they always love to fight.
It's crazy, though, because they still find a way to optimize all their resources as there's a fight onto the top side of the map. The dive is set up beautifully by Scene, and Hueva's there for the alley-oop dunk.
Oh, my word. Stuart literally was the one that brought it up immediately. They love to fight, and right off the bat, 2 minutes just in. I mean, it makes sense. You see a Lee Sin, you see a Renekton. These are very really good synergy when it comes to your top and jungle duo, and it really helps set up the fight and early game ganks.
And I really love the lane assignment as well for WRLR. Deciding to go for the Renekton in the top side, you have to push in into the Poppy. Poppy can be quite weak on the tower dive, and instead putting DY, actually, the player that we fought in Champs that was going to go in the bot lane, actually on the Ornn. But since you're in the mid lane, you have a much shorter lane, so you can protect yourself as an Ornn. In the top lane, when you're pushed in with a Renekton, Lee Sin actually skipped his Gromp, took the Scuttle Crab, and went straight for that dive into the top side. So it gives Poppy... It probably means Poppy's very far behind now and needs to go back to base again because he's losing that matchup against the Renekton.
Yeah, he missed the keeper's verdict there. Was trying to punt away Scene so that he could at least get some relief pressure. And now, yep, the wave is frozen. This is dire straits for the Poppy.
And you could really tell what the plan is in mind with this Renekton Lee Sin pick because it's the difference in summoner spells as well. It's aiming for this lane domination with that Ignite over the Poppy's teleport.
Going to see how well WRLR's jungle Baron lane combo can snowball this lead, because one of the things that you have to be conscious of later the game goes on for WRL Blue, Nunu on this Talon is going to become a greater threat as he gets more and more items for himself. Lee Sin is not one to shy away from a lot of damage as he gets further and further accelerated into the game. But yeah, here comes Nunu trying to set up the dive into the bottom side of the map. The donut from Karma tries to set up the play. Nunu easily skips over the barrel, and there is a massive kick as Hueva is able to reset the fight, forcing the rest of WRL Blue to flash away. DY tries to go in for a re-engage, but now Onron, it's his time to shine as he comes back in with a Darkened Blade. And in the end of the day here, guys, WRL Blue and WRL Red both just walk away from the fight battered and bruised.
I'm still in awe with that fight because it felt like there was just, it was like playing dodgeball, basically. I'm going in, resetting the fight. The team fight, skirmish juggle, if you will, as a term I would like to say here. But at the end of the day, they don't want to bleed in too much, and that's why they hesitated and didn't want to go all in. I love the respect from both of these teams. Meanwhile, top lane though, they have their own world.
And you can see that the supports are starting to turn into that second jungle, which is something that gets used very, very popularly over in China and in WRLR. The supports become the second jungler. They roam around with their jungle and they try and go for tower dives. We've seen it already. There have been multiple tower dives. One did pay off in their favor for the red team, but for the blue team, for WRLR, sorry, they didn't get the tower dive they wanted in the bot sides.
It is a little difficult, though, for Simi on this Nami to try and start roaming alone, because if she is ever isolated and then, boom, a Talon pops over the wall, Shadow Assault, that Vesh becomes a sushi skewer for WRLB to enjoy. Whereas Karma has a little bit of extra safety because you can always go for that tether and the shield. And yep, this Nami is in a world of trouble. The Karma ultimate is going to pin her down, and nice use of the heroic slam charge from X-Jong to set up the kill.
You just mentioned it, Rafa. When Ami is isolated, it's going to be very difficult for her to try and escape. The flash forward from the Karma, being able to use that route to perfection. Very well played here by WRL Blue to give that little bit of advantage that they need. And now that they have that mid lane with the Ezreal and the Karma there, you're going to have priority over that Lucian Nami with the push and power.
Exactly, and this gives a priority over the objectives later on. And one of those things, the kills definitely is a little bit scary if you think about it, if it all goes to Nunu. We talked about the jungler matchup, and so far, it is Nunu that actually is going to be in the lead on this one. But I want to, paint a little bit of a picture of what's happening on the objectives. I'm going to lead a little bit further on WRLR when it comes to the team fight, so they can try again. As long as they're able to get a good setup for Call of the Forge God and a tidal wave, it'll be massive.
And the gold lead isn't that far apart from these two teams. Massive engage right there with the tidal wave. Bubble doesn't only hit one there, as the Lucian from SkyFL gets some decent damage with the culling. DY is forced to flee as Onrun pops the World Ender. Here comes the Call of the Forge God for the re-engage. Hits two members there, but the ensemble has been secured by Nunu, and Onrun is bullying everyone else from WRL Red out of the blue side jungle. The flash over the wall soldier looking to continue the rampage from the side of WRL Blue.
And WRL Blue in the end take that ensemble and also secure a few kills after that. I thought everyone was going to escape with blinking health bars, but in the end it was WRLR that go away, WRL Blue, sorry, that go away with the advantage and also get a little bit more gold onto that Ezreal and the Talon.
It's so scary to think about. I'd mentioned team fights, ideally, okay, Red on Team Red, but unfortunately the setup was not exactly there. The burst damage, everything. Once they funnel onto one single target, it'll be immediately a 4v5.
Gold lead in the jungle now is getting pretty huge for the Talon. Nunu nearly about 400, 500 gold ahead right now, and also in the mid lane, nearly 1,000 gold lead for Anran 9. So you talk about these players and these champions, the Talon and the Aatrox, the scaling that they have and how difficult it is to try and lock these champions down. They also secure the first dragon for themselves. They will use the ensemble in that mid lane to try and break that tower down.
Goal difference is still not that far apart between both of these teams, but I am concerned about how the WRL Blue composition tends to have a better time when they get more item spikes under their belt. Not to say that Hueba's Lee Sin in particular or the Lucian cannot scale in their own right, but if they are just even on gold rather than smashing with the gold deficit instead, then it starts to become a bigger issue. Yeah, they are very early game focused, as you mentioned. The Lee Sin, the Renekton, and the Lucian. The Lucian will still be able to do quite a lot of damage, but the Renekton will definitely fall off, and the same with the Lee Sin, whereas on the other side, you just have the Ezreal that keeps on scaling, already has the Mirror Mana online, going to be building towards that Trinity Force. The Talon, once he gets a few items, the ultimate and the mobility that you mentioned, Rafa, is going to be very difficult to shut him down. But look at this, Anran 9 is just dominating the bot side. It kind of shows you this bruiser versus tank matchup and how difficult it is for DY to stay in lane. And that's going to be the problem, right? Eventually, as the late game progresses, there's not going to be a lot that can match this Aatrox. Okay, well, X-Jong was slain by Scene over on the other side of the map, but Onron and Nunu pay some love back and ensure that they can equalize the kills here. It's absolutely scary. And I mean, the Ezreal is already painful. Soldier, imagine if the Triforce is already completed. That's going to be an immense fight.
It's a little poke and recall, you know, as you do. In a standard game of Wild Rift, just poke and recall, but Yeah, in the end, just seeing both the tanks are kind of playing the weak side at the moment. That's why both the tanks do have the teleport, the Poppy and the Ornn. They're just trying their best to try and keep the towers alive. The Ornn will teleport towards the bot side, so both the supports, both the tanks, I should say, are now on the top side of the map. And meanwhile, on the bot side, you're seeing plenty of pings into that bottom jungle.
They want to fight over this red buff and just force the advantage where they have nearly a 3,000 gold advantage on their side. Hang on, Onrun might have been a little too deep on that one. Flashes back in time. Another flash from SkyFL as he finds the Talon in that Dragon Pit. And the rest of WRL Blue got a little too aggressive, but the re-engage from the Poppy, trying to set it up. The Call of the Forge God gets winded down and finds the knock-up onto the front line, but Onrun is still ready to play with the Darkened Blade. Big slam into the wall. Hueva is pinned, but a three-man kick will stop the fight from continuing.
Every single one of these fights, Rafa, are so close. Again, blinking health bars on either side, but you're seeing how difficult it is to try and lock down and try and kill the Ornn and the Poppy, because both these champions are just building pure armor. There's just all AD damage in this game. So if the Ornn and Poppy can survive enough and buy enough time for the rest of their team, they could try to do enough damage.
I think that's why that's the biggest difference, right? You see the Nami, that's a sensor, but on the opposite side, that's a Luden's Echo. So there's going to be a little bit of a supplemental damage when it comes to the AP if they do build full armor.
Hell, I would not even mind if Soldier built something like a Riftmaker or Leandri's Torment just to splash a little bit of extra magic damage, since he's not purely physical, as Xjong might be in a little bit of trouble, but as you said, Stuart, it's a little too hard to bring down the Poppy that easily in the game anymore. The Karma ultimate, yoinks! Multiple members from WRL Red back into the Baron lane, but they're trying to push the assault here. Culling comes out, decent damage onto multiple members here. The tidal wave pushes them back. Baron has spawned. This is a time where both teams have to be extremely cautious about fighting too early.
Yeah, the big thing, as you mentioned, Riku, with the Luden's Echo being built on the Karma, they do actually have quite a bit of AP damage. There are two ways that you can play the Karma. I thought this was going to be the more supportive style, where you just build as much ability haste as possible, so you can get a really low cooldown on the shields, more utility, more time to shut it down. But instead, Jung is going to go for the full damage build and instead focus more on the damage. But Hueva just died off screen.
What happened?
I don't know, Riku, but that is not good news for the side of WRL Red. That Lee Sin is gone for the next 22 seconds. WRL Blue are trying to set up pushing waves right now to see if they can at least give themselves better position, better vision control for that Baron, but they might be setting up for the Dragon instead, a safer objective as DY takes a load of damage, but the Gargoyle Stormplate's shield will give him the reprieve necessary, but it's all to buy time for you to secure this Dragon.
There's so much space for objectives now. Even the Baron sort of being pseudo-started, but there's still a lot of respect because Hueva is already online. Again, this is the damage. Hueva, if that happens again, this objective and maybe this game is in danger.
Yeah, you have to be really careful when you're starting the Baron as well, because you obviously do get that debuff, so you have to be careful. It means you're going to take more damage, you're going to deal less damage as well. So both teams are being very hesitant on starting this Baron. When we talk about how quickly that these teams can take Baron, both of them are pretty slow at taking Baron. They don't really have that consistent auto-attack AD carry that can try and shut them down, try and take down the Baron quickly. Or they don't have the Mage as well that can try to do a lot of burst damage. So both these teams playing around that Baron, making sure that they have vision control and just waiting for a moment for one team to make a mistake.
And this is a major time for WRL Blue to really show their strength right now. The Talon has a significant item advantage over the Lee Sin with that latest Trinity Force pickup in his inventory, which is why WRL Red is giving so much respect and space in this blue quadrant. They try to jump onto Onrun. They force the flash out of him. Call of the Forge God looks for the knockup, hits two, but no one can follow up in it just quite yet. Nunu is just burning down the Baron. The rest of WRL Blue trying to prevent them from getting into the pit. The Baron is secured for WRL Blue. From the Ornn sets it up. New gets knocked down, blown to smithereens goes WRL Blue, a massive double kill, 4 scenes renekton, and just like that, WRL Red find the window they needed to come back in this game.
What a crazy knockoff, DY. We talked about this tank in the mid lane to be able to support these team fights, and now it happened. It could happen another time with a tidal wave. No, it's just for zoning, but that was an impressive showing. There's CC lock, he's fine.
Oh, the poke!
But at least
Onrun is on the chase now. He's ready to deal the pain and end their world. SkyFL can't go anywhere else had nowhere left to run. WRL Red, we thought that they were able to turn that around, but they couldn't even push a single turret off of the play itself. WRL Blue just made us believe and then dashed those dreams away.
And it's so difficult sometimes because even if you get an advantage after the Baron is taken, then Baron minions are still going to be there. So it's so hard to try and push down a tower. So in the end, they do try and push that mid lane. Skyfell just takes his life and tries to take the Karma as well, but isn't able to do it in the end. So WRLB are still ahead. The Talon shot. It might be
the first strike.
No, you're good for now.
That was so close.
That was too close. That was too close. But, you know, I agree with you there. Knowing that the composition that WRL Red has composed with the tank in the mid lane, that means they lack the wave clear necessary to slow down this lead with this Baron, and Huiba just falls.
Did he just die solo to a Poppy? Is that what I saw?
And the Karma did it.
And the Karma,
all right, well, that makes a little bit more sense. But meanwhile, the dive continues on the bottom side of the map. Onron finds the second cast of the Darkened Blade, hits the third sweet spot.
Oh, the dodge.
And is able to walk out safely. Darkened Blade used once again. Onron can continue casting them to his free will. And the rest of WRL Red are down to the last defenses.
Not really much more that they could do right now. The Baron minions have stopped, though. The Baron buff has despawned, so it is the first Baron of the games. The first Baron recently did get changed, where the duration did get quite significantly lower, so it gives WRLR a little bit more time to push out, try and get a few more minions. But now that the resets are coming on in for WRLB, look at the items now. The Aatrox having the Black Lever and the Death Stance becoming very, very difficult. Poppy, I love the pickup on the Frozen Heart, reducing the attack speed of champions around her. And of course, the Karma just go for more damage. Vandal Fantasy coming in as a second item. This is all about just having so much mana, using her abilities to poke and shield as much as possible.
Exactly. It really nullifies at the moment, the strength of WRL Red, which is the Renekton getting ahead. With these items, it is up to Zhang to really sort of counter and then just really negate the impact of this lead that this Renekton has.
Teleport's coming in already from Ekjong so that he can be here for the Dragon objective. It is the Ocean Soul at this stage in the game. Onron forcing out the dominance from Seam without popping his own World Ender. He's going to have the ultimate advantage. WRL Blue just slowly whittling down the Dragon, holding space. Decent knock-up onto two there. DY pops the Gargoyle Stone Blade and gives himself a massive shield, but now Onron, it's his turn to play. He looms forward. He looks to end their worlds as he tries to find a Darkened Blade sweet spot. Barely misses it, but Nunu has already assassinated the fish on the other side of the wall, and they turn their attention to the Baron Nashor.
They're able to get the Dragon Soul as well, so they have the Infernal Soul for the extra damage, and now they're going to be able to take the second Baron, and it's going to need an absolute miracle from WRLR now. They go for this early game composition with the Renekton, the Lee Sin, and the Lucian, but the scaling has come in now for WRL Blue. They just have so much damage, so much scaling in their back pocket. That Talon is so difficult to shut down.
Exactly. You can feel the lead so much coming from WRLB's side that I feel like anyone from their end is able to solo kill anyone on the opposition. So at this point, what can you do? As you said, a miracle, as we take a look at that replay, it is that zoning that the rest of the Team Blue is able to do for them to secure the soul and then the tidal wave. They threw everything on the kitchen sink, but it was not enough to deter the strength and the lead that this team has.
Yeah, Aatrox is so difficult to try and shut down, so much mobility, but as you mentioned, Andrew, I love that they were able to just zone them away, be able to take that Infernal Soul. Now this Ezreal is doing so much damage with just one Mystic shot. The Talon even jumps in underneath the Nexus.
True Shot Barrage rips through their base of WRL Red. Massive knockup for the Call of the Forge God, but they cannot get through the front line, and it's WRL Red that are beginning to fall one after another. WRL Blue's Poppy sends them away with the Keeper's Verdict, buys time to hit the Nexus. WRL Blue take the first game. GG!
What a performance in the end. The scaling was absolutely insane. And the outplays from Anran 9, I mean, this is a star player coming into this Pro Track 5v5 that we were highlighting as one of these players over the past few years, has been absolutely dominating over on the WRLR. Of course,